What is up, my little pretties? This is your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and today, welcome to episode 23 of Shadows and Pretties. Now, I did put up a post on my community tab not too long ago, like I think it was about a few days ago or something, and I asked you guys, it's going to be a zombie-related topic, and asked, what would you guys like me to do? Either Zombieland or Shaun of the Dead. Surprisingly, Shaun of the Dead won. I was going to expect Zombieland to win, but apparently, Shaun of the Dead is the winner, so I will be covering Zombieland topic for another video. So, today I am going to talk about Shaun of the Dead. Now, most of us who've seen Shaun of the Dead is basically a horror comedy drama film. It was directed by Edgar Wright, and of course he has directed and written this, and of course Simon Pegg, who is the one of the actors who stars as Shaun, and with his friend Ed, played by Nick Frost. So of course it's about Shaun is caught in an unaware zombie apocalypse, and they attempt to take refuge into a local pub with their loved ones. So of course with Liz and the other people. And of course, it was the first installment of the Free Flavors Coronatio trilogy. Now, however, Hot Fuzz is being one of the other movies that Shaun of the Dead actors have, like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. They were also in Hot Fuzz. But I'm pretty sure they were also in another movie called The World's End, which is pretty interesting. I've not seen The World's End, but I have seen Hot Fuzz, and I found it to be a rather good and really amazing movie. Now, to start this off, this is a United Kingdom or European or British zombie movie, whatever you prefer to call it. I actually found this one to be rather enjoyable and really funny. However, there are lots of things. This is actually one of the British zombie movies I've ever came across. I came across some other ones, but it is pretty cool. So, I am going to be completely honest that this is actually a really well made movie, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this right now that Simon Pegg, who is Shaun in this movie, he's also the voice actor for Buck in Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. That will be another topic of Shadows and Pretties that I will cover for another day. But he also returns as Buck in the Collision Course Ice Age movie, which I have not seen Collision Course. Well, I've seen bits of it, but I've not seen the full movie. I've seen bits and pieces of it, though, and it looks pretty interesting. So, with that being the case, I am going to wrap up, well, not wrap up, but I'm going to be explaining what the movie is about and explain my thoughts and stuff. So, overall, I'm going to say right now, I remember reviewing this movie at one point. I think it was a few months ago. I do remember reviewing this movie, and to be completely honest, I actually remember this movie being just as good as a lot of people would know. I actually found this movie to be quite enjoyable and quite amazing. But the movie itself was just absolutely amazing. I never expected, this movie to be just as good as I expected. I expected this one to be really good, and surprisingly, it did very well. Although I'm going to say Zombieland was actually another good one, but I say this movie did pretty good, just as good as that one. So, with that being said, I am going to basically talk about Shaun of the Dead. So, Shaun of the Dead is basically about a man named Shaun who ends up living with Pete, who I think it's his roommate, and of course his other roommate Ed. And I'm going to be completely honest that this is actually a really amazing movie in my opinion. So, of course, it was in Crouch End in London, which that's actually where the movie was actually filmed. Electronics salesman Shaun has no direction in his life. He is disrespected by his colleagues and does not get along with his stepfather Philip. So basically Philip and him did not get really much along, but of course the worst thing I could definitely say is that he gets dumped by his girlfriend Liz. So heartbroken one night, Shaun decides to get drunk with Ed who is a slacker best friend at their favorite pub, the Winchester. So, of course, that's just something I'm just going to be completely honest that's actually what happened. Shaun, one day Shaun is having fun with his friends, but then the next day he ends up, not getting along with, certain people and well, just shit hits the fan. I'm just gonna say that. That's just what's going on, is that it hits the fan. And basically what happens is, when Shaun one day wants to take his girlfriend out to dinner, but it doesn't work, so Liz and him have like an argument, and she basically dumps him. So, with that being said, Shaun and Ed get drunk at a bar, the Winchester, and of course, when they get home, Shaun and Ed, decided to do something crazy. But when you're drunk, you do tend to do some crazy things, even though you may wake up the next day and realize, I don't remember this happened, or something like that. Just to kind of, give it like an example. So, with that being said, I am going to be completely honest that when it comes to, well, you probably already guessed it, just to be fairly clear, we're just going to say right now that, well, Shaun basically is just having a rough life with everything going on with him and stuff like that. So I guess that's just one of them being the reasons, but let's get started with the next part of this movie. Now, however, later on when Pete, who is a roommate, apparently complains about a bite wound from someone and berates it as Shaun into getting his life together. So basically, Pete's kind of like the thinking he's like the big boy in the house, and just thinks, oh, just because I own the place, that means I can do whatever I want. That's basically what Pete is. Honestly, I found Pete to be, a really messed up character, and he was a jerk in this movie, so that's actually one of the reasons for that, too. So, by the next morning, a zombie apocalypse has overwhelmed London, and of course, Shaun and Ed are slow to notice it until they encounter two zombies in the garden, whom they beat to get death with, a shovel and a cricket bat. So they devise a plan to rescue Liz and Barbara, who is Shaun's mother, and then wait outside the crisis in the Winchester. However, they escape in Pete's car and picked up Barbara and Shaun's stepfather, Philip, who has already been bitten. And, of course, they use Philip's car to pick up Liz and their flatmates, Diane and David. So Philip basically apologizes to Shaun before he becomes a zombie. Like, apologize saying, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. And, of course, when you're bitten by a zombie, guess what happens? Well, yep, you probably already guessed it. Philip just became a zombie, and yeah, we know more garbage hits the fan. Well, I'm just gonna say that instead of the S word so much. So, basically, the group abandoned the car and sneaked through the London neighborhood, running into their friends invading the zombies by imitating them, and they take refuge later on inside the Winchester, and they discover the Winchester's rifle above the bar is functional. However, they thought, it's not real, and Ed, says, oh, it's real, and Shaun says, it's not real. I don't see why it would be the point. If it looks real, it probably maybe look like kind of like a display or something. But in that case, it just doesn't work. I just really have to say, when I watched this movie, I honestly really remember it being one of the good ones. Like, this is actually a really good movie, and I actually found this movie to be just as good as, just good as anything, to be completely honest. Now, of course, we're going to get to another part of the movie, and that is where, when they get inside the Winchester, Shaun gives them the slip, but however, they somehow found a way to follow him back to the Winchester. Very surprisingly, eh? Well, I'm just going to say right here, right now, that it's quite something. Now, we're going to say now that later on, we are going to see that a next part of the movie is basically what happens is, of course, they found out that the Winchester rifle is real. So basically, Barbara, or Shaun's mom, ends up revealing that she's bitten along the way and dies after giving Liz and Shaun the relationship of her approval. So basically, David attempts to shoot Barbara, but Shaun stops him and causing the group to argue. So of course, we're just going to say is that Shaun accuses David for being in love with Liz, which Diane admits. So Shaun is distraught and is forced to shoot Barbara when she came back as a zombie. So basically what happens is the whole group argues and they get like, all angry and all bonking heads at each other throughout this. And it's kind of normal for a zombie movie, with a group of people trying to survive a zombie outbreak, but then they all of a sudden, get in an argument for whatever reason, and then they end up, saying, what the hell am I supposed to do about it? So they just kind of, argue, bonking heads at each other, and etc. So it's kind of actually one of the reasons why, zombie movies do tend to do really good. They have actually a good plot, even though it's not, it's repetitive, but that's not always the case with zombie movies. I'm going to be completely honest. I will be reviewing Zombie Land in the next episode, but I just thought, I'm just going to explain, more into, what happened with, Shaun and his, and his buddies. So they get in the group and they end up going into like a whole wacky adventure or whatever. And they all of a sudden realize, something's going on. And of course what do we end up finding out? Well, we're just going to say right now that they end up finding themselves in a zombie outbreak. They're trying to survive, and then almost one by one, everyone gets, killed by either being devoured by zombies, get bitten and turned into a zombie, or they end up getting attacked by one of the teammates, or even the looters who loot to places and they end up seeing them and they end up shooting them. Well, pretty something, eh? I'm just gonna say right now that this movie was actually pretty well done and made. It actually, flowed out well when it came to this kind of conclusion. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest that, to be completely fair, I actually found this movie to be rather enjoyable in many ways. I know some people may, disagree with me, but, that's fine. That's totally fine. There's nothing problem with that. But I'm just gonna say, hey, right now that this movie was actually doing a pretty good job, keeping the characters in character and not, straying off the path and, just, I guess basically you could just definitely say right now that it's pretty, amazing when you come to think of it. So, I could definitely say right now that, this movie actually did a pretty good job on the whole thing. I could actually see this being the case when it comes to a zombie movie. So, I guess I'm just gonna be, trying to end the podcast, but I'm just gonna explain more in the detail. So, with that being said, I guess we could just get started, continue on, shall we? Alright, so with that being said, the zombies break into the pub, however, and they end up devouring one of the characters. Yeah, almost every zombie movie, they have to, incorporate somebody, basically gets eaten alive by a whole bunch of zombies without any paying attention, or they're just acting like an idiot, not knowing what the hell they're doing. Yeah, pretty typical in a zombie movie, just being honest. But I could definitely really well say that, I might consider count as a cliche in zombie movies, because zombie movies do have cliches, like people getting eaten alive almost all the time for whatever reason, or they're just being stupid and they end up, not giving a crap or anything like that. So that's one thing I could definitely say about this movie. Now, of course, Diane rushes into the horde in vain to attempt to save him, but of course, that's when the zombies break into the house and starts attacking the survivors. The zombie-fied Pete appears and bites Ed, and Shaun ends up killing Pete, and Shaun, Liz, and Ed take cover from behind the bar. So, Shaun sets the ablaze before they take the trio into refugee in the cellar. Realizing that they only have 2 bullets left, Shaun, Liz attempt to contemplate suicide while Ed neglects of being devoured by zombies. So Shaun discovers the keg taking the lift that opens out onto the street, and Ed volunteers to stay with the rifle as the zombies break in. However, the British army arrives then, and they take Shaun and Liz to safety while they take around the zombies. Later on, we see, 6 months later, the civilization has returned to normal, and the surviving the zombies are used as cheap labor as entertainment. So, basically, Liz has moved in with Shaun, and Shaun basically keeps the zombie fight Ed in his backyard shed where they play video games together. What a really amazing story. I'm definitely going to be completely honest that the casting was just a fan out amazing, and I really like that they have, different different actors doing some cameos, different characters. What I really liked about this was just that the filming was basically shot over 9 weeks between May and July of 2003, but however, they ended up pushing this project back till maybe 2004. So that's when they released it. So, of course, we have other stuff going on, so we basically have to say right now that when they released it, it did attract a lot of people when they released it, as it was really funny and obviously really amazing that they actually did this movie. They did won some awards and stuff like that, and they actually did really well done when it comes to this film. So I could definitely fully say that Shaun of the Dead did a really good job. Even though it did have some flaws here and there, I still really found the movie to be rather good. So I first watched this when I was 12 years old, and to be completely honest, I actually found it to be rather funny. I remember sitting there and watching this movie at tons of times. It just gives me a good laugh. Like, I can't stand here and just watch this movie without bursting out into laughing. It was really funny. Like, the fact that the characters actually worked out well, and even though that I did spot a few things wrong with this story, but the movie, but I actually found this one to be rather good in many ways that I can count. The story of the whole thing, and the fact that the characters actually play out well, and basically another part of it that is just, it just works out amazingly funny. I actually found this movie to be quite funny, especially when I saw it. I actually found this movie to be rather enjoyable and nice. So, with that being said, I give Shaun of the Dead a 10 out of 10. Just like with the review, I give it a 10 out of 10. Really funny and really well amazing. And I did recap of the movie for those who haven't seen the movie in a while, and for those who want to take a look at it. So, feel free to check this movie out. It's really good. I highly recommend it. If you guys want to see a good zombie movie, highly recommend this one. Now, anyways, with that being said, what do you all think about this movie? Now, did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this movie a lot better? Just let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below, as I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you're brand new here to this channel, I highly recommend you hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell for notifications, so then you guys will get, updates to new videos. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. I will be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, and I hope you all enjoy your day.